All right. So the bad news is Carlos Correa, broken finger, part of a hand of some kind. He's going to be out. But Royce Lewis, Patrick, is going to make his major league debut tonight.
Did they announce that already?
Yes, indeed. Royce Lewis is coming up.
Well, they had no choice. I was just looking at the roster, and he's the only infielder on the roster who wasn't in the big leagues.
Yeah.
And plus, he's the only one that's within 2 years of playing in they either are not big leaguers or they're 2 years away from playing in the big league. So, yeah, we'll get to see Royce Lewis. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because guess what? These guys aren't going to win the pennant.
What?
They're going to finish fourth in the AL Central. They're not that good.
Wow.
The pitching.
Wow.
You know, these Chris Archer, he's going to make about 5 more starts, throwing 89 pitches in 4 innings. Dylan Bundy will be released by June or July. I like Winder. I like Joe Ryan. I like Ober. We might like Sonny Gray, but the bullpen stinks. And this Pagan is not going to finish games. That's for sure. You know, Duran managed to give up a home run last night. I mean, he throws hard. I like him, but it's not anything to say, boy, he's going to be the difference in this mediocre.
I think we have a new panic. I think Judd has passed the torch to Patrick.
No, it's not panic. It's reality. It's reality. They had a nice little streak. They won 11 out of 12, but pretty soon they're going to have to start playing real teams. You know, when they play the Toronto and the Yankees and even the Angels now, and I always say, look how many times you're favored when you look at the paper in the morning. Look how many times you're favored. The year they lost 101 games. They won more times than they were favored. They're not going to be favored very often. The last 100 games of the season. So, and now, of course, losing Correa, who is really a good player. I better, I guess when he won the Platinum Glove, I should have known he was a pretty good shortstop. But he's a really good player, and see you in 2 months, I guess, huh?
The Archer thing too, Patrick, was, I think you said that as the season approached during spring training, was the thoracic outlet syndrome surgery he had and all of that stuff. That looks like you're going to be right on that one.
Well, it's he goes 4 innings, he throws a lot of pitches. He his stuff's a little better than I think people thought it was going to be, but it's erratic as hell. Maybe his control will get better, but. I don't know. He's not a mark him down for 28 starts guy, that's for sure, with his history. So, the pitching's going to be they're going to put when you at the end of this month, when you can only have 8 relievers, you're going to see a lot of pressure put on him. I kind of like Paddock. I think he's okay. He's only been going 5 innings so far, but. He throws it over, throws strikes, and he's okay. But yeah, this isn't much of a club.
So on Royce Lewis, I know we talked earlier this week, and ideally, if there weren't injuries, you said just keep him down there for however long. But now that they need him,
yes.
Let's say he tears the cover off the ball. Best case scenario, what does it look like in 2 months if he's a major leaguer for the next 2 months?
He's played really good. The other guy comes back. You give him a rehab for a week, and he plays short, and Lewis plays third. That's probably it. And Urshela gets moved, probably something like that. So that's. I'm glad they made the instant decision and didn't worry about service time or something on him. But they really had no choice when you look at the rosters. But yeah, it'll be fun to see him because age-wise, he should be here, right? It's just if he hadn't missed the year with the knee, he would have.
Is he 23 now?
Well, same age as Hunter. 23. I guess
he's 23. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's okay. And if he hadn't missed last year, I don't think they would have paid Correa $36 million for 3 years. Do you? Each of 3 years. I don't think they would have taken him. They probably would have. Lewis would have been here might have been here last September and might have been your shortstop when the year started. So,
well, if you would have, I think if they would have, because he hadn't played a game in 3 years or whatever, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
if they knew that he was going to be this good in AAA for a month, they also probably wouldn't have signed Carlos Correa.
It is amazing how bad 2020 screwed up baseball and the progress of its minor league players, isn't it? I mean, they didn't play for a year. Yeah. The baseball's the sport where I always say you got to get better 5 times, right? You got to start off down here and you got to get better 5 times. And they missed one of those years completely, stayed the same, might have gotten worse because they weren't playing. So it did screw everybody up, that's for sure.
What do you think, too, Patrick, about this? I heard something, I think it was on one of the satellite channels yesterday. I guess there's like some confusion now about the baseballs themselves and what baseballs you're getting and what, because they tried to curtail the home runs after 2019. And it sounds like there's like different surfaces to the balls and the pitchers don't like that. And some of them travel more. I mean, it sounds very, very baseball-like, but screwed up.
They're supposed to have I was going to write something. They're supposed to have the ball that they were going to have last year, but because of the pandemic, they were so afraid of lousy offense that they kept the hot baseball in. This year, it's supposed to be the lesser baseball. There's been a lot of conversation on the MLB network and other places about how the ball is not carrying. A lot of hitters, supposedly, Cody Bellinger hit a ball the other day in Dodger Stadium that had the height and the velocity and everything that would have went 8 rows deep in any other year. Though everybody on the, one guy from the opposition said, I thought it was going to kill somebody out there in center field that didn't get out of the park. So the speculation is that they're using the deader baseball, a couple of 3% deader. But then again, the Baltimore Orioles go and hit 5 home runs in a night. So I don't know. And
including one to left.
So if that was the dead ball, where would have that ball Buxton hit last night gone if it was the live ball?
Yeah.
out completely out of the stadium, out in the street, it would have went over and ordered some crab, but would have went down around down the, I mean, that thing was a monster shot. So, man, when he gets to a ball and finishes, that finish of his is fantastic, and he hit that ball was hit as far as it can, but they still managed to lose to that collection. You know who is very disappointing to me so far? Miranda. Because I went over and saw him a couple times last year, talked to him. He's guessing like a son of a gun. They started 1-0 count. Guy throws him a fastball right here. Just the pitch you're waiting for. Takes it. Swing the bat, lump. And then he gets himself in a bad
Hitting coach Pat Reusse.
Hits when you get a fastball that you're looking, that the pitch you want is right there and you're ahead in the count. What the hell are you waiting for? Yeah. You're guessing they're going to throw you a breaking ball. Stop guessing. See the ball, hit the ball. Right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes you need to take your lumps, be sent down. That's the thing.
Yes.
You see it, and we do this, right? You see a player come up, and then he struggles, and then he goes back down, and you kind of write him off. Oh, he's not that good.
Well, it's a lack of comfort, obviously. He's nervous. He wants to stay. But you got to swing the bat and be letting these, of course, Buxton went through 3 years of that, not hitting the first pitch fastball, and it cost him a lot of ugly numbers earlier in his career.
Hey, what did maybe the audience didn't fully see this, so I'll try to explain it, but there was a weird altercation a couple nights ago that resulted in Madison Bumgarner getting thrown out of the game. So Bumgarner was unhappy with the strike zone, and he was kind of chirping, and then when he walks off the field, the first base umpire is there, Dan Bellino.
The jackass Dan Bellino.
To check.
I'm making this observation just from watching games.
But this is before the incident.
Yes. This is watching Twins games with this guy. He's a confrontive, egomaniacal jackass. I've seen him in action. That was my observation of it.
Yeah, so he's
he's
supposed to check for pine tar.
He's the first base umpire.
Yep.
It isn't even his. They got some guy, I think he might be new. I never heard of him. Ben Willis, I think. So Bumgarner throws a strike, and the guy doesn't call a strike, and he ends up walking a guy. This was after he gave up a home run. So as he's walking off the mound, he's almost to the first baseline, and he's barking. But he's not like turning, he's just barking. Bellino comes down to inspect his hand, right? Inspect his left hand. And he massages it like he's in a Japanese parlor and massage parlor. He's pulling on his fingers, but he's staring at Bumgarner. He's not even looking at his hand because he's trying to pee him off so he'll say something. So he finishes, and Bumgarner says, "Take your bleeping time." And he throws him out.
Yeah.
He didn't even say you. He didn't address it to him. He said, "Take your bleeping time." And Bellino throws him out. And Bellino should be suspended.
Like, what is
it was just him kind of inviting an altercation. And he's that kind of guy. And they, of course, baseball, he umpired the World Series last year because he, I don't know if he's a mediocre ball and strike umpire. I think he's a mediocre ball and strike umpire. But he's just a confrontive, guy, and he wanted to get Bumgarner upset so he could throw him out because he was mad because he was yelling at the plate umpire.
These guys are clowns. If you guys get a chance, Joe West was on Pardon My Take, the podcast, earlier this week, and they were showing him at one point they were trying to get him to admit that he was wrong at some point in his career.
Yes.
And they showed him there's a famous Andre Dawson, a fastball or whatever it was that dipped below the zone, and he rung up Andre Dawson in the late 80s. And they showed the clip and said, "Joe, I mean, come on, Joe. I mean, you were wrong on this one, right?" And he just and it was kind of funny, but it was a good glimpse into these dudes have the biggest egos of you think NBA refs tee guys up, like these baseball umpires have the biggest egos of any official.
You guys read Passon's piece a week ago or so on how we look at the Fox box and thinks that, that's the definition of a strike zone. But when Major League Baseball evaluates umpires, they give them 2 inches on each side of the plate.
Yeah.
So the famous Angel Hernandez game where the Fox box gave him 84% or something, Major League Baseball gave him 96, because they're giving him 2 inches on each side. 2 inches is that,
Well, just make the plate bigger then.
Yeah. But it's so they evaluate them differently. It's, in other words, a close miss is, and I've always said, hey, you can't just look at the box and say, oh man, that's an inch outside. They're going to miss those. But, to give them credit for being wrong in your evaluation is kind of idiotic too.
That's such a baseball thing. Patrick, so we got Wild Blues tonight and Sunday. What will the series be when they come back?
2-2 when they come back.
Okay. Love it.
Game 5 will be the crucial one. If you lose Game 5 at home, you can't win the series because nobody ever goes on a road and wins Game 6 after losing Game 5. It don't happen. So but it'll be 2-2, and the big game will be next what day?
Thursday, right?
Thursday. Next Thursday. That'll be the season. That game right there.
I think I told Judd, Pat, that I think whoever wins Game 3, whoever wins tonight, I think wins this series. I think it's going to set the rest of the tone.
And the other team wins Game 4. It's a split in St. Louis, guaranteed. You got my 100% guaranteed.
Well, hold on a second. 100%?
100%.
I would forget bet that.
The guy who gave you Butch Davis is also giving you 2-2 after.
There were a lot of people very upset that Butch didn't have a good game in Game 2 because they tuned in to watch the great Cowboy Butch Davis.
Yeah. Didn't he get some silly penalty too or something? I don't know. I was.
Yeah, he tried to brand somebody. It was crazy.
He went Jared Allen on him.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't know if the Wild outplayed them as badly as we thought they did in Game 2, right? The scoreboard certainly, and you got to wonder about Huzo now, but
that's true.
They played good, but they didn't. 4-0, and the shots were what St. Louis was. I mean, the Wild didn't have a shot until they scored, right? The first 9.5 minutes.
They didn't. They didn't outplay them consistently, but they played far superior in their own zone. And here's the thing, too, you guys: the Blues are now down three defensemen. That's a lot of guys, including Scandella, the former Wild player.
I see that he was thinking he might come back, or I didn't know he was there until I found out he wasn't. He was coming back. So
first pairing.
Anyway, well. Now, I guess Marc-Andre, I owe him an apology because they went back and played him again. If I'm Cam Talbot, I said, boy, if I can't play in this series after that clunker by Fleury, I'm never going to play. I guess we're on the Marc-Andre bandwagon the rest of the playoffs. So.
Yep. All right. Any thoughts on what the Timberwolves should do this offseason? We've had a couple discussions this week, Pat. Give us your official prediction of what the Timberwolves should do.
Somebody will take D'Lo off your hands and get a point guard. Get a guard. Their guards are not good. Beverly is not a good offensive player. You need him on defense, obviously. Jordan McLaughlin's a nice 18-minute and a game guy as the backup, but D'Lo is going to fail you more than he's going to help you. He's especially in the playoffs, and you got to get rid of him. People think maybe because it's an expiring $30 million contract that they can get rid of it. Is that still a hot thing in the NBA or not?
You're not going to have 20 teams banging on your door, but it's more movable than if he had 2 years left for sure. Yeah.
We didn't give him that money though, right? He had that money when he came here.
I think he signed a 4-year deal with Golden State.
Why did they want to do that?
Well, the Timberwolves wanted to do the same deal. He chose Golden State in free agency. Remember?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What are you watching? I saw him play for Brooklyn, wasn't it? Wasn't he Brooklyn for a while when they stunk? Yeah. This was him. He misses 2/3 of his shots. He's very erratic.
This sounds like
he has a great game, and then he has 3 clunkers.
You should put your hat in the ring for the play-by-play job that's now open for the Timberwolves. Yeah. Some good analysis.
I was shocked how many people love Benzie. I mean, he's a likable guy.
The Wolves have a chance at a 2-for-1. We'll come back with that opportunity next.
Somebody suggested that. I saw some of these morons, hardcore Wolves fans saying, well, he was too critical of the team.
Benz?
What, did you want him to be in full cheerleading uniform when he was announcing?
Just got the full.
Well, I was laughing with you. I was laughing with you during game 2. I texted Judd and said, they're 20 down. They stink. They're playing and they score. They have like a 3-pointer and another bucket. They have a 5-point run to cut it to like 18. And at the end of the third, Benzie's working up a rally here, man. He was all excited about it. And I was, he
full like cheerleading uniform.
They cut back.
Like,
he's got the crunch uniform on without the
yeah, without the head. He seems like a nice enough guy. I don't know. I've never.
Yeah, I enjoyed. I'm shocked. It was 10 years. 10 years. Time flies, man.
I would guess they want to diversify the booth. Either?
So I know Judd threw out Marnie Gellner, but at last check, I'm fairly certain, and this is a couple of years ago, but I think she moved to the desk role because she didn't like to travel as much as
I was
she
in
was.
Communication with her yesterday, and she does not want the job.
Yeah.
I texted Sloan Martin, because she's knows the game. She's a good play-by-play person.
Links experience.
That's what you're trying to do. And somebody said, well, I hope one of her people included Marnie and said, we don't need Marnie to get the job. Well, it wasn't about Marnie. It was, I didn't even mention Marnie. So I had a little exchange with her on Twitter and about this moron, and she's not interested because she's in the family thing, and she doesn't want to be traveling all the time. So Marnie will be doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, we'll see.
Pat Reusse.
Pat Royce and Jim
Pat
Peterson
Royce.
coming
I
up
don't wanna
next
go. You
on
think
Pat Royce.
You think I want to spend 80 games watching these clowns? No, thank you.
You just would have to change your attitude
You know how
slightly,
long I'd
just
last?
a little bit.
Cat, get your head.
Oh, of course.
He short circuited.
Incredible.
Look at him. He just got.
Out of here. Yeah.
Oh, PSN's gone to us. They get to everybody. They've gotten to us.
They own the world.
It's like Goodfellas. It's like Pesci when he was going to be made and they killed him instead.
PSN is app now, right? And
Yeah,
everybody-
20. I think we're losing. Pat's. We're losing Pat's reception. So we'll say goodbye. We lost as soon as we start talking about BSN. Pat's internet mysteriously.
It's like Pesci when they took him, Oh, who's gonna call Pat's friend and tell him something happened? What's done is done. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh
right.
my god.
So rapping with Royce here on Mackey and Judd.